What is up, my fellow Tarhans? I'm Captain Beans, and welcome to HighFleet Flight to Hara Vera. Now this will be a conventional-ish playthrough of Flight to Hara Vera on normal difficulty, but I am going to only use the stock ships that come with the mod. Let's go take a look at the ships that we'll use for this expedition, and let us assemble the Beans Navy! And so, as the main flagship of this fleet, this is going to be the Surtees II, or I guess I'll just call it the Sevastopol, because this is the Hara Vera replacement for the Sevastopol. And I mean, you can pretty much see the resemblance, but basically this is going to be the flagship because this guy has quite a lot of fuel. It has a lot of this sensors and radar and ELAND capabilities. I'm also seeing some aircraft, which is also really welcome. And I'm also seeing quite a lot of weaknesses in the armor of this guy, so most likely I am going to try to avoid sending him against strike groups. But I guess if such an event calls for a last resort ship, this is going to be it. And since this is a super big and super expensive flagship, I'm only going to have one of these in the fleet, and this guy will lead the main fleet throughout the campaign. And now let's move on to the support ships. Alright, so here we have the Odrisia, or the new Wasp, which is basically a small light aircraft carrier with some planes on it, and this also has some missile defense capabilities, since you can see it has a small fire control radar, some sprint missiles, just a couple of them, and you can see that it has two of these T7 interceptors, which can be used to intercept missiles. But also this has the smaller planes to do reconnaissance and also potentially airstrike someone. And I am going to only have one of these in the fleet. And here we have the Eri, or the new Egida. And basically this is just a small tanker with some ELAND, some radar, and some thermal detection capability. And basically this is going to be another support ship to pair with some small combat ships, because this thing is really important to get intel and also to have eyes and ears, especially when I am going to detach some of my ships from the main fleet, because, you know, this is HighFleet, shit can happen. And I'm going to have only one of these in the fleet. And another support ship that we are going to have in this fleet is the Silka. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to have two of these, but basically this is just a tanker. It just has a lot of fuel, and it is quite fuel efficient, and it can supply fuel to whatever ships that are detached along with it, so that the Sevastopol doesn't have to do the fuel carrying. Now, there is also another ship that I'm going to use, which is the Strela, but for some reason I cannot find it in the ship builder, so here's just a card for it right here. But basically this is a large missile carrier which has 8 missile silos on it, and it's very nice because you can load quite a lot of different missiles onto it, and I'm probably going to use it to kill a lot of strike groups. And I'm only going to have one of these in the fleet, and that is going to be it from the support ships. Let's get into the combat ships, shall we? Alright, so this right here is going to be probably my main garrison fighting ship. This is the Mykonos, and, well, this is literally a lightning, because this thing goes whee! But yeah, otherwise there's nothing really much to say about this, other than this is just a light interceptor type ship with a couple of these AK-100 100mm cannons, and yeah, it has no armor, so it is very weak against like large calibers or prox fuses. But I mean, this thing is fast enough and light enough to do a silent strike, so that's very nice. And I'm going to have two of these in the main fleet. And here we have the Centaur. The big, the mean, the armored ship that is going to fight, well, probably the medium to large garrisons. This is basically the new Intrepid for Flight to Hara Vera, since it has two of these D80 Molot cannons, which are 130mm cannons. Very nice. And this thing has some good side armor, a little bit of top armor, but it has virtually zero armor on the bottom. So I would assume the best way to fight with this guy is side to side. And that is pretty much how this thing is going to be used. And since this thing is quite expensive, I am only going to have one of these in the fleet. Alright, and now that we have assembled the Beans Navy, let's go